got you under my skin. I've got you deep in the heart of me. So deep in my heart.
Hey, welcome back to Piece of Chaos podcast. So, had a couple good weeks there with guests, huh? Those were fun. Hopefully you guys like that. Blake Wexler, Kim Crawl, and Brad Upton, those were fun. This week I've been thinking a lot about hope. Hope for the end of what's been just such a long ordeal in terms of the pandemic. But I saw something that was really interesting, which was, a couple things. One is that the idea that this will no longer be a pandemic, it'll be an endemic, or like we're adding this to the list of things that you can kind of get every year, and like a cold, way different, but a type of a coronavirus that's going to be with us forever now. But what's interesting, and what I never had thought of before, and why it seems that the Delta wave is slowing down, and why I have hope, is that Delta kind of became a thing when there was no vaccine at all. I believe it started and it kind of mutated and became a thing because of the numbers of cases in India. So we don't have a population that big completely without protection now for it to surge as bad as that. Except, yeah. So I think that gives me hope that we won't maybe get another really nasty variant because there's just not enough cases. Not that there's not, many people still suffering. But hopefully not millions and millions suffering to generate another nasty variant that causes us to backslide again. Because, at this point, what's going to change people's minds that haven't gotten vaccinated? I don't know. I don't know if there's anything. So, I guess I'm trying to find the silver lining in the reality of the fact that we are where we are. This thing is here. It's going to be here. If Delta kind of burns out, and we can get through. But at the same time, I have no idea. I've never lived through a pandemic, and we have no good information. I have the book, The Great Influenza, and I've had it for a while, and it's one of those books I bought and really wanted to read and started to read, and I just didn't, because I'm going to read it now because I want to see the lens. I want to see this pandemic through the lens of that book now. When I got it, we hadn't had a pandemic. And it's one of those books that if, it's big and it's a lot and it's historical and maybe it's a little dry, but, sometimes I want to read something a little more uplifting. But now I'm really interested to read that one. So going to check that out, which brings me sort of to my next thing this week. I am in the process of moving, and it is pretty interesting, somewhat horrible, but okay. And interesting in the things that you find that you have that you didn't remember or that you haven't seen in a long time and have been packed away. I don't really consider myself a hoarder by any stretch, but I do tend to collect certain things and keep them, I keep them. So, for example, CDs. I have all of my CDs. Like, I don't want to count them, really. I'm going to have to count them because of how I'm going to store them at this point. And, but I got to figure out how many there are, but there's a lot. And, you know, I don't think I even actually have an active CD player where I could play a CD right now. And there's nothing especially audio quality wise compelling about a CD as compared to like vinyl from an audio standpoint. If anything, I think people kind of thought they were, you know, I don't know, a real step down from analog, right? From vinyl. And so, but I have them all. And they're heavy, and I can't decide if I want to keep them, I guess is the point. And I think I want to keep them. Maybe in a different form. Maybe I'll take them out of the jewel cases and put them in one of those floppy disk. Or not floppy disk, but like, you know, the thing you hold CDs in. I don't know. But it got me thinking about old things and preserved things and things that you keep when you go through this life that mean something to you. And you know, those CDs, you know, won't mean the same thing to anybody else. Some of them will. Some of them are, you know, classics, and a lot of people have attachment to those things. But what I mean is that particular collection of CDs won't mean the same to anyone else. Knowing I have them gives me some sort of weird comfort. It is interesting how the online versions of those CDs, the streaming versions of those CDs are almost all seem to be different whenever I go play them streaming. They just sound different. And a lot of them, you can only get like the remastered version and all that kind of stuff. So in a way, it is a time capsule of a record that, you know, now that things are digital, can be replaced. You know, if the artist wants to pull the song, they can pull the song. If the artist wants to remaster the song, they can remaster it. But the thing is that the way it sounded when I listened to it on those CDs is the way I want to hear it now. And you can't do that necessarily if you don't have the originals. So anyway, keeping old things and nostalgia and all that kind of stuff. And some things I'm just so ready to let go and I don't care anymore. And some things I'm like, man, I really want to keep this around. And it's just interesting moving. You learn a lot about yourself when you do it. Especially if it's been a while. Like if you move a lot, I guess you get pretty good at it. But I've been in the same spot for a long time, and it's weird. My son has never lived anywhere else, and he's getting really nervous. Like, you know, your childhood home is your childhood home, no matter what it is. And if you're, you know, fortunate enough to have a good one and where you have happy memories and stuff, like that's a very important thing. And there's value in that and something interesting about the stickiness of a place and the things that you fill it with. And then you bring your things to the new place. And it takes a while for everything to fit in and settle in, find its place. And then there's the things that that just never find their place. They just stay in that box to represent you, and you know, the things that, you know, eventually if you're shrewd about your moving and you're not a hoarder or whatever, you whittle it down to a few boxes that just stay with you. And they just, every time you open them, they remind you of those same things. And I think that's important. I don't know. I think that's important. But I don't think I'm a hoarder, except for a few things. So CDs, we've already talked about. I've developed a book problem, but I don't really think it's a problem. I just, I love books, and if I love the book that I've read, I want to leave it somewhere that someone will find it. And I guess a lot of me wants that someone to be my kids that find them eventually, or at least just know that they were there. Because, I don't know, I just don't feel like I really got the reading bug until I was older. I mean, I never minded it. I liked it. I would go through spurts, but sometimes it was just fiction or something like that. I feel like I could have shortcutted a lot of real big life stuff if I had read more when I was younger. But, you know, I did a lot of cool shit when I was young too. So it's just that I've really come to appreciate books, and I like having them around, and I like, if I read a good book, like if I read on Kindle or something like that, or audiobook, and I really like it, then I get the hard copy. And, you can pick up some hard copies for like less than $1, used, in good shape. And I'm basically like building a library. I don't think that's like hoarding. And I don't just keep anything. I keep it because I read it, or I intend to read it. I know it's going to be good, or I know it's good. And I know it's, something that is moving or important. And I think that's a good thing to hoard a little bit. And then the other thing, hoarding is the wrong thing, but I definitely have plenty of instruments for one single human being. I could not possibly play them all at once, though they all have their own special meaning, place, sound, reason for being. And I love them all in their own different special ways. Especially the drum sets. They have a lot of meaning, a lot of mana, as my friend Bake would say in Hawaii. They just have a lot of life in them, and a lot of connection and energy in them that are really amazing. Like there's this drum set I have that I've had since I was a kid. I bought it when I was 16, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was 16. And I traded a drum set that I would love to get back right now. I traded a 1963 set of Slingerland drums that were, like heirloom shape. They were amazing. They're actually the drums that you hear playing on my intro music. I bought them from the gentleman who played the drums. His name was Andy Hamaday. He was an incredible drummer. When he got too old to play, he sold them to me when I was like 14. And they were great. They were a great first drum set. I played them forever. I learned to play drums on them. Really, I played my first shows with them. But as I got like a little better and started playing harder rock music in the 80s, they just didn't hold up on stage. The hardware that they came with was old. It was like really thin, crappy hardware. And at the time, Tama was making the best, strongest hardware. Just incredible stuff. My favorite newish drummer at the time was the drummer from Living Colour. His name is Will Calhoun. He played Pearls, but he had really bright red drum set, and I wanted a really bright red drum set. And I sold those Slingerlands very quickly, which I should have, realized was, I could have sold them for more, I guess, or I don't know. The person that bought them real quick, and that was when the only way you could sell shit was putting an ad in the newspaper, and it was like within 2 days somebody had those drums. So knowing what I know now, I sold them way too cheap. But then I went and I bought the drums I wanted, the drums I loved, and I played for years, and they held up like crazy. They're not real wood. They're Tama Swing Stars, if you know the brand. They're made of like fiber wood. Shell with the right heads on them, they can sound okay, but it's nothing like true birch, maple especially, rings so beautifully on drums. But it's not like that. They don't sound like that. They're rock drums. But they sounded fine, and they held up fine. And I played around the country with that drum set. And over the years, I kept it really like clean for a long time. And then I found the replacement that became my favorite drum set. It's a 1953 Gretsch drum set, and it's just incredible. I love that drum set. But once I got that drum set, and that became like my stage drum set, I outfitted it with DW hardware. If you're not into music equipment, you've already tuned out. If you're into it, hey, whatever. Anyway, so I outfitted it with really good hardware so it would hold up on stage and really look amazing. And it was in the 90s when a 4-piece, retro drum set was just, that's what everybody played. I mean, most people were playing Drum Workshop, like all the indie bands and stuff were playing DW drums. But I was playing Gretches, and I loved them. Their abalone gray drum set. Anyway, when that became my drum set, the red drum set, I was like, man, these aren't even real wood. And just realizing what quality it was, and I was by then angry about my decision. Oh, there's another drum set in between that I'll talk about. But when I got newer drum sets, that red kit became like the leave it at the rehearsal space kit and beat the hell out of it kind of kit. And it stayed that way for a long, long time, and still to this day is kind of in that position. But over time, like once it wasn't like my show kit anymore, I started putting stickers on it, band stickers. Through the 90s, we'd meet a band, get their sticker. It went on the drum set. And there are all these stickers. It's like a time capsule of 90s band stickers. Bands that were, nobodies in a van to like, either became something or didn't or whatever. But I remember the shows, and I remember the sticker, and I remember the bands, and I remember playing those drums in basements in Westchester University and opening for the Archers of Loaf, and just incredible times with that drum set on tour with my band, Mariner 9. And so I'm not going to get rid of that, but it won't mean as much to anyone else. In between, there's another drum set in there that still to this day I think gets used every day, is on hundreds, if not thousands, of recordings coming out of Minor Street Recordings, and that's a Tama Superstar drum set, which is like the low. Is it Superstar or Imperial Star? God, I gotta think. I don't think it's Imperial Star. I'll have to ask Brian what's on the badge. I forget, but they're the low tom, like the narrow depth tom. Like it's not as deep. The depth is smaller, but the sizes are normal. Like 12, 14, 16, and then like a 22-inch bass drum. But the bass drum's like not as deep, and they just sound amazing. They're natural finish maple drum set. They're beautiful, from the 80s. Played those for a long time. Had a beautiful, beautiful piece of artwork painted on the front kick drum, actually. Believe I still have that head somewhere. I hope I still do. I think it's in a trap case that I've seen somewhere before. At home, maybe. I am really rambling tonight. Sorry, guys. Lost in thought, but that drum set was incredible, and now Brian at Minor Street uses it on almost every recording, at least one piece of it. I think the floor tom gets a lot of play. It's just a beautiful sounding floor tom. It's perfect. So yeah, I don't consider that hoarding, having those instruments, because they each have a use. I have, they're fine instruments. And I think, it's not hoarding. It's a collection. If I just bought them off of QVC every day and had piles and piles of drum sets that had no meaning, I think that's when hoarding would kick in. This is a collection. And we've come to the fact that moving is an interesting experience. You start to dwell on things and your stuff. I love that old Carlin bit about stuff. More stuff. Anyway, guys, ladies, gentlemen, I thank you so much for tuning in to the Piece of Chaos podcast. It gives me so much joy to get these thoughts out and have guests as well, which again, we will have new guests shortly. There's a couple scheduled. Shows are starting to come back. People are starting to tour more and more. Shows are opening up. California is doing well as far as COVID numbers go. I have faith. I have optimism that this will be over soon. At least behind us. And that what comes out of it will be different, better, and we'll have deep gratitude that it's over. And I hope that appreciation glow lasts a really, really long time. I really hope it does. I don't like having masks hanging in my car. And seeing people's faces covered with masks. I don't like it. I know it's what we have to do right now, but I can't wait till we don't have to do it anymore. So, with that, I say, have an amazing week. Be well. And, have some hope. I think we're pulling out of this thing. We're heading into the holidays here, folks. Only 93 days till Christmas. Can you believe that shit? Life is good, huh? We're all still here. All right. Have a great week, everyone. Thanks again for listening. I really, truly appreciate it.
Wake up to reality.